All right, there we go. Hi, everybody. Let us know if you're in the comments. I see we already have 10 people signed in here. But yeah, how are you, Vincent? Good to see you.
Hi, Steven. I'm doing great. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great too. Yeah, I'm just happy to be on the stream. And actually, this is the first time I'm streaming with us for the season launch. So
Oh,
I'm really excited about that.
I'm also super excited here because we're going to be building something cool and amazing, and also very
Yeah.
simple at the same time. Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to see it. I saw the title, Automate Anything. That's something I would love to do. I'm always looking to automate things. I wonder, actually, maybe, let me show you really quickly while we're waiting for some people to get online.
Mhm.
I wanted to show you something um, that I had grown in my garden recently. Um, it's a zucchini, really big one.
Oh,
And I was wondering if there's any way to automate the watering of these plants because every morning I have to go out and water, uh, and just to get this zucchini after many weeks. So if you can think of some way to automate that, I'll be your attention.
that would be amazing.
But anyway, I
Anyways,
will I will let you take over, and I'm sure
mhm.
it'll be a great one. But before I get log off, I just want to make sure everyone knows to check in for the event.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I will let you take it away, Vincent.
Okay. Catch you, Steven. Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here today. This will be my second stream with the MAH team, so amazing. So today we're going to build something really simple, uh, complex, but still very simple. So the goal is we want to make life more easy for daily tasks that we do manually. But just before we dive in, my name is Vincent, and I am a senior support specialist at Fillout. And I know I'm building a tool called Mostra.com. I mean, you can check it out on your free time. And I'm also an AWS community builder. And today, let's dive into what we'll be doing today precisely. We'll be using tools that you may have heard of, and some of the tools that you're already familiar with, and some you are not familiar with as well. So I don't know how many of you have heard about Fillout before. If you have, you can just put in the chat that you have. Fillout.com is a company I work for. Amazing product we have out there. And basically, what Fillout does, it helps you build amazing forms. It helps you build, uh, forms that can do it all. That's the word we use. So using Fillout, you can build form that automates the manual process of doing things. And Fillout actually helps you to integrate with a whole lot of other apps out there, like Airtable, Notion, Slack. You can just think about any other applications out there. 600,000 of them. Fillout actually helps you to integrate. Another cool feature of Fillout is our free trial. It's very robust. I mean, like you can actually build anything with using the free trial. And we also offer free trials on like for the premium plans that you can actually utilize also to see what you can do. So let's dive into what we are going to do today. Before we dive in, let me just tell you a little bit story, and then we'll see how we can actually solve this problem. So a while back, I was helping a friend who runs a very small creative agency. Every time a new client reached out to them, it was the same old mess. Where you send a client sends email or fills a form, and it goes to the email form, email inbox. They have to reply. So the whole old-fashioned, messy, tons of emails, scattered forms, maybe using Google spreadsheet and so. So by the time they gathered all the whole info and the try and fro distribute it to the team that have to take care of the project, that's taking a lot of time. The client may have been long gone. So I remember thinking, that there has to be a way, there has to be an easy way, a way to actually automate the entire process without needing, a developer who can write a code. A way you can actually build something very complex without spending so much time and hour doing it. So the problem is like really clear. Manual client intake approval, it takes time. It takes a lot of time for you to go through the whole process of reviewing a client's intake. And when a team spends so much time doing things they are not supposed to do, so this is things they are supposed to do, but it takes when the team takes time dwelling on the non-important task, it joins them from doing the most important task. So the whole idea is we are trying to build something that can, that can speed up the development of the client's work. So how do we solve this problem? So this is basically how we're going to solve this problem using these tools, right? So we're going to build what looks a lot like it's going to be looking like complex. Like the whole tools mentioned on the screen right here. You have Fillout, you have Airtable, you have Slack, you have email, and we're also going to automate PDF signing at the same time. So Fillout, we'll be using Fillout for the form itself. We'll be creating 2 forms in this demo. I'll be creating 1 form where the client gives us, so the whole idea here is a client want to reach out to the agency and they want to build something with the agency, either a website or a brand, or they want marketing services. So the agency offers basically 3 services: web design, marketing, and branding. So we just fill out to gather the information, the data from the customer, what they want, and their budget. Then we will be using Airtable as a backup database for our data. So Fillout itself stores data, fine, but sometimes you also need like a replicate of the data. You need to have like a backup. So Fillout, you can actually integrate Airtable, you can integrate other database like Notion. You can also store your data on Google Sheets and the rest of them. Even if you're looking at it from the developer perspective, where you want to store the data in external databases, like let's say you're using Postgres. So Zipper also makes that very possible. So you can actually use Zipper to integrate Fillout, to use hundreds of other applications out there. So the plan here is we take the customer's info. It's already stored in Airtable. Sorry, it's already stored in Fillout once it gets to the once the client submits the form. But we also want to have a replicate of it, just in case. So we just want to have a backup of the data as well. So we're going to use that Airtable for that. Then finally, we're going to use Slack for approval. So the goal is once a client submits the form, we store the form in Fillout and we store it in Airtable. The form goes to a Slack channel called a project manager. That will be the name of the Slack channel. And then when the customer approves, so when the project manager approves the intake, that's the customer's project, he reviews it and it sounds good. Once he approves the form, it goes to the appropriate team. So we're going to have like 3 teams: the web design team, we're going to have the branding team, and then we're going to have the marketing team. So data comes in, it goes to the project manager. Project manager reviews it and approves or rejects. So if they reject, we just send an email to the customer, like, hey, we're just rejecting this. This is the reason we're rejecting this for now. If it's approved, we send the customer an email and we push the project to the appropriate team. So on the email, we'll be sending the customer will be a link for them to sign the contract. Contract that will be working with. They'll be working with these agents. And once they sign the contract, also, we send the contract more like a notification to another Slack channel called, contract intake, where we just keep stock contracts of the customers. So that's probably what we'll be doing today. That's probably what we're doing. Fill out to Airtable, Slack, and email. Just making this whole process very easy. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my screen right now, and let's see. So the first step is for us to create our Airtable data. And I'm just going to show you what our Airtable data looks like currently. So we have, I'm just going to clear this data I already have here. So we can just start all of this at fresh.
Sorry, Vincent, just wanted to step in and make sure you know that you're not sharing your screen yet.
Oh, give me 1 second. Let me know if it's on.
I'll just add it to the stage if you want.
Okay. Yeah.
There's the StreamYard.
Okay. Just to confirm, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
No.
Okay, so the first step is we have to have our database already prepared. So first step, we're just going to create an Airtable data. I already created one. You can actually go pull along. Airtable actually have free trial. They can actually use to do whatever you want to do. So for the table, I just have client name, email. For the project type, we defined a single select option, and we are taking in web design, branding, or marketing. So 3 of these. And then for the budget, we change that to a currency. You can use a number or a currency, whichever one works. The requested date is more of the date the customer wants the data. Wants the project to start, expected date. And then additional notes, we want to take in more description of the project they're working on. And then for the team, we're also using a single select again. And we have 3 teams: web design team, branding team, marketing team. Then this is what our Slack channels look like. So here we have the branding team. We have the clients contracts channel, where we'll be storing when the customer have submitted the contracts. We will just want to make sure that we get notified on Slack. And then we have a general team, Then we have a marketing team. We have the project manager team. So this is basically where you have all the whole project managers who will be approving the intake. And then we have the web design team. So this is basically the teams in this company. And these are the things that we're going to automate. What goes to which team, and so forth. So once we have our Airtable data on, and we already have our Slack channel set up. So the next step is we take it to Airtable. We take it to Fillout. So this is Fillout. You can just go to fillout.com and sign up, and you can sign up with your email and password, or you can just sign up with your Google account. Very easy, and you are in. So Fillout actually allows you to build stuff, free trial, and the free plan, basically not free trial. The free plan allows you to build almost day-to-day stuff you basically need to build. And I just created a workspace I'll be using for this demonstration. I call it MH demo. I've already created this before now, but we're going to create it all afresh. So for that, we're going to start with a new form. So I just click on create on form. I want to start with a blank form. So Fillout actually have like templates where you can explore amazing templates that you can actually use for your project. Like you can see popular templates here. But I'll be sticking with creating from scratch. So I'll click on blank and I'll choose a theme. A theme simply means just, the interface, the colors and stuff. So I'll just choose the light and I just click on create form. I also give this form a name. So I just call this intake MAH. Okay, so once I have this set up, the next thing I want to do is I want to integrate Airtable because I want to store the data from here to Airtable as a backup. So I can do that by going to the integrate tab right here and click on Airtable. So this is like your first time of integrating with Airtable or any other integration. You have to authenticate between the two platforms. So I already have this set up. So, but if you don't, you'll see just choose an account. You can create a new account. I mean, this is what it looks like. When you click on create new account, you give it a name that you want to use. Let me say MAH demo, for example. And I'll click on connect to Airtable. So what happens is it authenticates with Airtable, right? I can give it access to all the resources that I have in Airtable, basically all the bases, or I can select a specific base that I want it to have. But it's always recommended you go with all resources so that Fillout has the flexibility of, not disconnecting along the way. So you can always get connected. So when you connect to just one base is restricted. When you want to create a new form and the form is for another base, you still have to like re-authenticate. But when you give it access to all resources, when you create new bases on Airtable or any other integration, automatically you just see it on Fillout when you try to authenticate again. So you don't have to like re-authenticate and give access to another base. So for now, I'll stick with all resources. Okay, so once I have that, next step, I have to select the base that I want. This is basically my base. I call it client intake and approvals. That's the name of the base. So I just go back to Fillout and I select the base. See something. Let's see. So client intake and approval, that's the name of the base. And I only have one table in that base, which is client submissions. So I'll just select that and I click on continue. So the amazing thing is Fillout also have two options of interacting with databases like Airtable or Notion. It's either you're creating a content, like you're trying to create a database, or you're trying to update the database. And that's probably what we do with databases. Either we are creating, we are writing to it, or we are reading, which is like a read only, or we are updating, more like putting into it, updating what we already have. So either we are creating, we're updating, or we're deleting. So Fillout gives you the option of creating a new record on that database or updating existing records. So today we are focusing on creating, actually. So I just click on create record and I click on finish setup. So once I have that, I click on edit back to my form. So if you look at this side of the form, you have Airtable field. So basically what happens here is Fillout automatically brings the data, the fields you have in Airtable to Fillout, right? So you can easily, just take in the data, like the fields automatically. And right here, you see that it's connected to Airtable automatically, and it's connected to that particular row or field that you want. I mean, you can change the name. The name here doesn't actually matter. So it could be like client's name. I can just call it full name. Okay, so next I want to get their email address. I can call this email address actually. And I think I want to get their budget. So they give us their name, they give us their email address. We want to learn more about their project actually. So I'll just go for additional notes or more of project description. Okay, but before then, I think I need to get the project type. So I just take this in here. So we want to know what the customer wants to build. I will change this to a drop down. I think it looks more attractive when it's a drop down. So I'll just click on change field type and I'll change this to a drop down. So we still have the same data in here. So web design, branding, marketing. And one thing I'm going to do is I will move some of this data to the next page. So this is what I'll do. I have full name here, email, and project type. I want to create two different pages so that it looks a little bit progressive. So I'll create another page. I'll call it page 2. So in page 2, I want to get the project description. And I want to get their budget and expected date. So I'm getting their budget, I'm getting their date, requested dates, more like expected dates, basically, and the budget they have. So automatically this is a number, but I can change that to currency and still map it to, the data we have in Airtable. So it's still the budget field, but we're changing this to currency, so it looks a little bit fancy. So you can always change fields that are interchangeable. Example, currency are numbers, basically. So if you have a number field and you have a currency field, if you want it to look more of currency, what it's like, so you can just change that, click on the change field type, and you can see, related similar field to that. And then finally, I'm going to bring in team, project team here. I just drag it all the way down. So this is the idea. On the first form, the customer fills their name, their email address. They select the kind of project they want, if it's a web design, if it's branding, or if it's marketing. On the next page, they give us the description, their budget they have for the project based on the description they'll be giving us. And then expected dates, I just call this expected dates. So this is like expected dates, more like expected dates is the date they want the project to be done, basically, but we just want them to specify a specific date or expected dates when the project should start. So it could be anything about the dates of the project. Then for the project theme, we don't want to show the customer this side of the form. We want to make sure that this side of the form is hidden. And we want to use logic to determine the theme that will get selected here. So example, on the first page, if the if the customer selects web design, then on the second page, we want automatically web design should be selected as the project team who will be handling the project. So let's see how we can do that. So to do that, we're going to do basically one thing. We're going to use what we call calculation in Fillout. And this is what our calculation is going to look like. So when you click on the logic page, logic option right here, you have page logic. We're not going to cover page logic, but you can play with that some other time, or you can look at the Fillout documentation on what page logic actually is and how you can actually utilize it. But for now, we're going to use calculation, and we're going to create a new calculation called name of team. I just call this name of team. And the type of data that we are going to put here is test. So this is going to be a test. I'll click on create calculation. So we're going to basically add 3 rows because we have 3 teams we want to determine which team should be the team basically. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to set a conditional logic that checks if the customer selects project type to equals web design, for example. If they select the project type to be web design, then what we want to do is we want to assign web design here. So basically what I'll do is I just call this web design team. Yeah, just say web design team. So I just duplicate this and do that for the second one. But now I want to check if they selected branding. If they did, then we want to assign branding here instead. More like branding team, basically. Just call it branding team. So branding team. And then finally, we just duplicate this again. So the condition, just checking if this is marketing. If it is, then we just call it the marketing team, basically. Okay. So we click on done. So basically what we're trying to do here is we want to store which theme the project should go to when the customer selects the project type. So once we have that in our plate, we are going to hide this field from the customer. I'll just show you what this looks like. When you click on preview, this is what it looks like from the customer end. Their full name, their email, their project type. When they click next, they'll be seeing project team, but we don't want them to see this. This is for our own logic. We want to use it behind the scene, to route the project where we want it to be. So for that, we're going to have an option under logic here that says hide always. So what this does is it hides this field from the view, from the respondent perspective. So it's always going to hide this project. You can see it also have like a logical set where you can set when to hide it or when not to hide it, right? I'll just show an example of how that works. So for example, we just want to show project type after the customer have entered their email or full name, for example. So we can actually do that by setting a logic here and set a conditional logic, and we're like show when. So we have two options here: show when or hide when. So we can say, okay, show when email address is not empty, for example. So what this means is this field is going to come out. I'll just show you what this looks like in preview. So at default, it's not going to show up. But then when you type in email, so when you type in email, it shows up. So when there is no email, it disappears. Okay, so that's like a logic we can also use. I'm just gonna get rid of it. We don't need it in this case, but we need it here. And what we want to do with it is we want to set it as hide always. You can see an option here called hide always. And then we want to set the default value of this project, this project team option. We want to set the default value to the calculation that we set up before now. So when you click on the default value option, there's a reference field, and you can reference to calculations here, and you can reference the name of calculation. So I'm just going to show you. I'm going to unhide this. Let me show you what basically is going to happen here. So I will preview this, and I will select web design as the project type. Automatically, web design will be selected here in the next page. So if I select branding, in the next step, branding will be selected automatically. So just the same way, if I go for marketing, marketing will select automatically. So we want to automatically, mark this particular field based on what the user selected on the first page. So we did that with calculation. And we set a logic that checks if they select this, assign this. If they select this, then assign this. Again, you need to make sure that the name you set here, the name you assign here matches the name you are also using on the project team, like the values coming in here. So the values are actually coming in from Airtable. So you just need to make sure that the project team, the name just matches. Just make sure the name matches. That's all. Make sure the name you're using here matches the name you're assigning in your Airtable as well. So once we have that in place, let's see. So other things you can play with is like the divider and other things. We have a lot of fields here that you can play with, a lot of elements that you can play with. So once we have this in place, I think we have our forms now built. I mean, we can publish this. That's it. But then, I mean, we don't have anything in place. We don't have anything going on. Customer fills the form. And what next? We still have to, come here to, I mean, we can set up notifications like email notification to notify us when the customer fills the form, which is more like a traditional form. But then we want to do more. We want to do more with our form. So this is where we're going to set up our automation. So for the first step, we are going to create a workflow. Let's see. So click on integrate option. And before then, I'll just go ahead and show you. So I click on workflow. I'm going to start with a blank workflow. So we can actually see, step by step how we can do this. So number one workflow we're going to have is form submitted. I mean, that's number one. Once the form gets submitted, then what happens next? Let's see. So once the form gets submitted, the next task we want is approver. Yeah, we want to send an approver. And for the approval, give me 1 second. For the approver, we are going to specify how we want the approval to be sent. The request approval by either email, Slack DM, or Slack channel. So, you can use the email. So once the form is submitted, we want it to go through an email, more like a manager's email. If they approve it, then something else happens. Or we can just send Slack DM directly, to maybe a manager or a team lead automatically. Or we can use Slack channel, which we're going to use right now. So for our use case, once a customer submits the intake form, we are sending it to the project manager's channel. So the idea here is a company, is an agency, and they may have 3 different managers working in these 3 different time zones or so. So it's only right that you send it to the team manager's channel so that any of the managers available can take up the task. So what we want to do right now is once the form is submitted, we want to send it to the project manager channel. So for that case, we'll be using the Slack channel option. Again, if for the first time, you'll see an option to integrate your Slack connection. So I've already integrated Slack connections before now here, so I don't have to do that over again. But you will see a similar window like this to integrate Slack. When you click on it, just like what we did with Airtable, I'll just show you real quick. So I'll just go back home, go to the home page. Okay, I can just do that from here, and I click on integration. And I can just click on new integration, and I select Slack as the integration. So you can give it a name. So I'll just call this MAH demo as the name. And I click on connect to Slack. So just what we saw last time, it takes you to, right here where you select the particular workspace that you want to integrate it with. So you can change the workspace from here. It's still loading up. There we go. So I select the workspace that I want to integrate it with, and I'll click on allow. And I click on allow. So this is just the process, very easy. Okay, so now it has access to the Slack workspace that you integrated it with. So we can go back to our form. This is the first form we're building. And we can go back to the integrate option, workflows. And this is our workflow. So once the form is submitted, we want to send an approval through Slack channel. And then we select the MAH, as the Slack workspace that we want to communicate to. Then we select the Slack channel itself. So in our case, should be the project manager channel. And we just want to have two options. So it's either it's been accepted or it's been rejected, right? And we can approval inputs. So this is more like if it's been approved, we want the manager to add a comment. In our case, I just call this comment. You can create a field called comment. So it could be a long text right here. I'll select long text and we'll call it comments. So the idea is whether approved or rejected, we want the manager to give us a reason why it was approved or a reason why it was rejected. So more like a comment. So add input. Okay, and you can customize, the Slack message that you want to send to the Slack channel. You can customize the data you want to input. You can use the reference options here to reference the data you want to input to the Slack channel, or you can just go with the include full submission. So what this does, it just brings every form field to the Slack channel. So we're going to see this in action. So once we have this set up, which is the approval flow, so we want to determine what happens. If it's approved, do something. If it's rejected, also we do something. So first things, if it's rejected, we want to send an email, straightforward. So just what I have to do is just click on the plus sign, drag and drop, and select the next action. So for our case, we want to send an email to the customer. So we just under recipient, select the email field, email address field. And you can, I'm just going to use notification at Fillout for this. And for the subject, you can just set up the subject. I already have something else already. I'm just going to copy that and paste it right here. So for the subject, just call this update on your project request. And let's see. For the email itself, I already have something also. I just copied that over. So go to the email side and just gonna get rid of this. And I just paste what I have. So what I want to do here is customize this so that it is sending to that customer. So I can use the reference option, full name. So in this case, we're sending hi, the customer's name, and then the rest of the message right here. You can also change the style of the message, with the theme, maybe something like this, the tests, you can just change it however you want it to be. So I just, go with the eco-friendly option, and I'll click on done. Okay, so this is straightforward. Form submitted. If it's rejected by the manager, we send an email to the customer, telling them, we rejected their submission. But if it's approved, okay, we also send another email. We send an email to the customer. So the same thing we did recently. So email address of the customer, that's what you're sending to. I'm just going to send from notifications. I have an email template already. So this is what the subject looks like. So your project has been approved. Next steps, and then we can, okay, no advanced option for now. Then we can customize the email itself. So I'm just going to copy what I have here. And this is what we have. So I'm just going to put hi, the customer name. So you can see I can use the @ symbol to bring up the reference option, or I can just click on the reference, add reference from here. So easily you can just, use the @ symbol and it will bring up the references. So I want to reference the user's name here. And I want to thank them, for submitting. And then I want to let them know to get started. Please complete the next step by filling out this short form. Okay, so we're coming to that. Let me customize the rest of that. So the idea here is we are going to have two forms, right? So once they submit the form and is approved, we wanted to read the contracts and sign the contract. We want to do that automatically. So we don't want them to read the contract, sign it, and email it back to us. No. So what we want to do is we want to send them a different form that we are going to create right now. We want to send them a different form. On that different form, they are going to complete it, read the contract. The contract will be like a PDF, and then they're going to sign the signature. And we're going to receive it once they have done that. So I'm just going to make this look a little bit, awesome. So what I'll do is I will customize that. I'll add a button. If I click on the plus sign here, I can add a new element. I want to add a button. You can add, text, images, spaces, buttons, submission reviews. I'm going to add a button right here. I just drag that back here. And I'm also going to change this to eco-friendly like we used before now. Yep. And yeah, this is okay. So open text. So it's going to be a button. And I'm going to call this complete, the next step. A complete next step, basically. So complete next steps. It's going to be a link. We are going to customize this link later on. For now, I'm just going to leave it as fillout.com, but we'll come back to it once we are done creating the form that we're going to link it to. Then secondly, I'm just going to complete the rest of the form. I'm just going to copy what I have here, create a new text, and just complete the rest of the form. So this is what the form will look like, hi, customer name, thank you, then get started, complete so they have to click on this link to complete the next form and the rest of the email. So we'll come back to this and recipient, this, that, we can click on done. So now we have two emails. One is when approved, the other is when rejected. Okay. So what happens when we send them an email? When we send an email after their intake has been approved, we want to make sure that it is going to the appropriate team. So remember, for approval, it goes to the team manager, right? And if the customer selected project type as web design, we also want to send that same information to the web design team. So this is not going to be like a manual work where the manager has to now forward the data to the web design team or any of the other teams, branding, marketing, right? So we want to automate the whole process. So for that, we're going to use what we call branches in Fillout. So we have a branch here. And what branch helps you do is it helps you create different scenarios, different logics. So for our case, we're going to have 3 logics because we have 3 teams. So you can create as much as logics you want using branches. So for the logic, I'm just going to put it here since that's the next step. So we want to check if the customer selected project type equals web design. If it does, we want to do something. We want to send them to Slack. So we want to send them to this Slack channel, sorry, workspace. And we select the channel we want to send it to. So if it's web design, we're sending the whole information to web design team right here. The same thing, we just check if it is a project type equals branding. Then we are sending the Slack information to the branding team. So I just select the branding channel, done. And then finally, for this, it's still going to be, I'm not set the condition first. I'll set the condition. So if the project type equals marketing, we want to send those information to Slack, and the channel is the marketing channel right here. So this is what we need to do at this point. So the flow is straightforward. Customer submits a form. It gets approved. Now it gets rejected. We send them an email that it has been rejected. The flow ends. It gets approved. We send them an email that has been approved. And the next step for them to complete. And then we also check a branch because we want to keep our team informed that a project has been approved, and they should have the information as well. So we use branch to check each of the conditions that the customer has selected from the first page project type, and then we send those information to the appropriate channel. Okay, so once we have that, this is basically what we need to have here. We're going to come back for this, and we're going to come back for the send email option. We're going to see what we can do using the complete steps. But for now, we are done with the flow. I can call this a name. I can call it intake flow. Okay, and I'll publish. Another important thing is you can always test this. As you are working, you want to see if it is doing what you expect it to do. You can always click on the test option and test it out. If something breaks along the way, it will give you an error message. If something did not go as expected, it will give you an error message, so you can know, okay, it's not working yet. Then when you're actually done, you can publish. I'm not going to publish yet because we're coming back to this. Or I can publish, but we're not going to use the form yet, but we come back to this. So I'll click on done. Okay. So the next thing we are going to do is we are going to create what we call URL parameters. So if you're a developer, even if you're not a developer, I'm just going to show you what URL parameters looks like. So when you open URLs, you have all those, name, bracket name equal to the name. So these are like the data you can pass in from the URL parameter of a website, of a link, of any URL. So Fillout also has those options that you can actually use to create URL parameters. And we are going to see how this is going to work on the contract form and how we are going to make use of it on this form. So we can pass those URL parameters to the contract form. So I'll go back to the home page, and let's start by creating a new form. I just start blank, and I'll just use actually I'll stick with the eco-friendly form right now for this. And I will call this contract MAH. Okay, so we're not using any Airtable for this. No, this is just going to leave. I mean, we can decide to do that, but I'm just going to stick with just making use of Fillout to store the data here. But you can, of course, integrate Fillout with Airtable in your own time, based on your use case. So for this, we just want to have the full name. So I just click on short name, and I will rename this to full name. And the email address. So the customer is not filling this. We are going to pass the URL parameters to here. And then we are going to include the contract for them to review here. So on the fields options, you can scroll down. You will see an option for PDF. Should be somewhere here. Or you can just search for it. Always just search for it. So you can see the PDF viewer. So this gives you an option to include the PDF in your form. So you can include a link to the PDF itself, or you can upload the PDF itself. So I'm just going to upload the PDF that I already have in my machine. So let's see. So I already have a PDF. This is the agreement, project agreement, next steps. So this is just a sample. So you already have your PDF, you just upload it right here. And then I also need one more step, signature. So if you're using the Fillout free version, the free plan, you can actually use the signature option is actually on the paid plan. So I mean, if you're following along in this demo, I mean, and you're using the free version, you may not get along with this particular one. So you can just keep that in mind. That is because you're not on. You will see it, but you can't publish the form because you need to upgrade to the paid plan to use that. So we'll also be taking the signature right here. Okay, so one thing I love to do is make sure you set the forms to required. If they are required, if they're optional, then set them to optional. So in our case, every single field here is required. And then finally, we want to make sure we have a date when the form was submitted. So for that, I'm just going to use the date picker right here. And if you want to use the date and time, that's also fine. So I'm just going to use date and time. So I want to know when the form was submitted and the exact time it was submitted. So we don't want the customer to do this, right? We want to automatically capture that once they do that. So for that, we're going to use the default value here. We're going to say that, just say this is required, but it doesn't matter because we're going to hide it later on. But I'm going to set the default value to be today's date. So we have Fillout has a date utilities that you can also utilize. So when you click on that, you can choose, today. So that will choose today, but the problem is going to change the time to, 12 o'clock a.m. So we don't want to do that. So because of that, we're going to stick to date picker. So it's only give us the exact date the form was, the exact time. Sorry, the exact date the form, the contract was reviewed and signed. Then we want to make sure this is hidden. So we don't want the customer to manipulate this. So we're going to change our logic, just like what we did before in the other form, and we're going to set this to hide always. So we have that as hide always, and then we have the dates. The default value should be the today. Whenever the form was submitted, that same date it was submitted, that would be the date on the form. Then finally, so I'm going to integrate, and I'll click on generate PDF. So you can use a sample, you can bring your own. So always bring your own. You created your PDF the way you want it to be, and you can just bring it in. So I click on browse, and I already have a signable version of that form. I'll just plug it in here. So this is what the form looks like. And what we're going to do here is we're going to map these fields that are empty with the data that we want to use. So before we just go ahead with this, I'm going to exit this page, and we're going to create URL parameters that we're going to use for the project type, because the project type is coming in from the other form, and the budget is also coming in from the other form. And then the expected date, start date, is also coming in from the expected date is also coming in from the other form. So we want to create a URL parameter that is bringing those informations to us before we can map it to our PDF. So if you click on the settings icon at the top right, you can click on URL parameters right here. I'm just going to define these parameters. I'll call this project type. I'll create another one and I'll call it budget. So this is the budget in the customer has specified in the other form. And then finally, the expected date. So the expected date. I can just call it expected start date because it's more like a start date. They want the project to start. So expected start date. Okay. So once we have this, and this, we can go back to our integration. We'll stay here. We can click on the integration. That's the PDF integration. And we can start mapping, the values. So for the dates, this date is going to be today, or we can just map in. We can just map in the date the form was submitted. So in other words, we don't really need the other dates in the other form. We can do that, or we can just map it directly here. So if you click on the connected field, you can select what you want to map to it, which is like dates. And the date was supposed to be today. Or you can just use the utility tool right here. Date utilities, I can just select today. So whichever one, that works. So I just use what we have, dates from the form itself. Add a new field, and this is going to be the URL parameters. So basically what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to set them up first. So I'll just copy this, Control-C, Control-V, just map them all. So I'm just going to map them. Let's see, another Control-V. So I'm just mapping them. The way I want them to be. So budget should be here. Project type, expected dates should be here. And then acknowledgement, under acknowledgement session, the I should be the customer's name, that should be mapped here. And then finally, we're going to have their signature. So I already copied this, bring it down, and map it the way I want it to be. So the signature can be here, or it could be down here. So whichever way you want it to be. So I'll start mapping from the down. I'll just map the signature right here. Then for this should be the name coming in. The name coming in. We're supposed to create a URL parameter of name. No, so we're going to pass that. We're supposed to create a URL parameter of name. Yeah. Give me 1 second. So we're supposed to create that as well. So we're supposed to have a URL parameter of name and email because we'll be mapping that from the data coming in. So we have 2 more URL parameters to create. I mean, we can actually do that from here, but I want it to be, I'm going to save this. I'll come back to it. I want it to be the exact data the customer filled from the other form. So I'll go back to my URL parameter and I'll create 2 more. I just call this name and email. So we just have name and email. So it will be coming in from the other form automatically, and then we're mapping it automatically to our PDF right here. So for the budget, it's going to be the URL parameter of project type. Then the budget to be the project URL parameter of budget, expected date, URL parameter of expected start date. Then the customer's name is coming in from URL parameter of name also. Okay. So once we have that, we can use this, or we can basically just use the full name because it's going to be the same thing. So the full name is going to be the same because we're changing the we are changing the field to be at default the full name coming in from the URL parameter. So any of that works. So back to this form, the full name here, the default value should be the URL parameter of name coming in. The email here should be the URL parameter of name coming in, sorry, of email coming in. So this would be the default values. So the customer don't have to, change that. But we want to display their name that they have filled on the other form. So we'll just display it here. All they have to do is just read the contract and give us their signature, and the date also is hidden automatically. We'll have that. So with that, I think we are good to go. So we have our PDF integrated right here. We're mapping the field that we want. And I'll close this. We don't need a workflow. We do. So we are going to create one more workflow. So the workflow we're going to create is the one that will send the data to the Slack channel called client contracts. Yep. So we can actually use, so if you come to the workflow, you can see, templates that you can just go ahead and just pick exactly. So more like, Slack reminder before calls or stuff. I can just create from blank. So I'm just going to create another one from blank. And on form submission, what we want to do is very simple. We just want to send the whole information to this channel called client contracts. That's all. And we just publish. We also want to send them an email, right? So we want to send them an email before we now send it to the Slack, or we can send to Slack and then send them an email. So whichever one, I think when they submit, an email should go, which is right. So we're going to send them an email, and this is what the email template looks like. So when you send it to email, and we have a subject, give me 1 second, just going to copy what I have here. I'm just going to send for notifications. You can always bring your own custom email, to fill out. So you can see an option where you can add your own custom emails. We also have the SMTP server option, Outlook, or you can bring your own Google Workspace email or your SMTP option. So you can always, send the emails from your own custom email. So we are doing two things here. We're sending them an email. The subject is, you sign the project agreement. We want to attach that agreement to the user. So we click on advanced, we click on add attachment. We select the documents option. You can see the particular document they will sign. So this is the document they will sign. So when they have signed it, we're sending them a copy of it. And you can customize other things like CC or BCC right here, and you reply to anything you want to do. Then for the custom email, I'll just copy what I have already. So I'll specify the customer's name here and thank them, and then that's it. I click on done. So once an email is sent, then we can now send the whole documents to Slack. So this is what our workflow looks like. Form submitted, send email, then push it to the client, the client contract channel. I just call this contract workflow. Rename that. So I'll go ahead and publish this. Okay, so once we have that, click on done. So now we can go back to our form, but before we go back to our form, we are going to, if you look at my URL, you can see the URL has changed. Now we have the URL parameters, right? Project name, project type, budget, expected date, start date, and the name and email. So this is basically, the form is expecting this while coming in, but if it doesn't have it, that's also fine. It's just a URL parameter, but then the form is not going to work as expected. So for our use case, you're going to make use of all of it. So I'll click on publish this contract form, and I'll copy this link right here. So I click on copy. So I have the link of the form that we want to send to that customer from the custom email when the form is approved by the manager. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the initial form, which is what we called intake MAH. Okay, and we want to go back to the workflow, intake flow. So approved email. So approved, then this is the email we send once the form is approved. Then for the URL, that's the URL here, we're going to paste the link we copied from the other form, which is the contract form. So I'll paste that in here, and I'm going to replace the URL parameter values with the actual data the customer has entered in this form. So it's where you have the SSS, so you just remove that. And you can use the @ symbol to reference, the values. So for prototype, we are just going to select prototype. For budget, just going to remove this. For budget, we select budget. So make sure there is no spaces after the values. So make sure you don't have spaces. Then for the expected start date, I'm also going to remove this, and I can use the @ symbol. I can just use the expected dates here. Then for the name and email, the same thing. So I just reference the customer's full name. And for the email, I reference the customer's full email. So again, make sure you don't have like spaces after the, equals, very important. So it doesn't break the URL link. Okay, so I think we have everything set. Let me confirm this. So yes, we do. Name, full name, email, the email address, expected start date, and the project type and the budget. So now we are linking, that other form. We are passing the URL parameters, the values that we want to pass to the other form. So once we have that, we can click on done, because I think we're actually done with the flow. And we can now click on publish and click on publish again. Okay, so let's take, I'm going to publish our form also, just to make sure we have everything intact. And I'll copy the link to the form. I'll open a new tab right here. I'll paste that link. So this is more like, we can embed this link to our website. More like if you have a normal website, Fillout also gives you the option to embed. So if you see, we have options for embedding forms. So you can embed this form in your personal website or in your, CMS website like WordPress and the rest of them. So customers from your website can fill the form and the automation can still take place. So I just opened this form and I'm going to fill this form. I'm going to use my email address. For the project type, I'm going to select web design, for example, and I'll click on next. So I see we made a mistake again. So we forgot to hide this. We're supposed to hide this. So I'm going back to my form. On the second page, we want to make sure this is always hidden. So under logic, hide always. So we don't want to show the customer this part of the form. So I'm going to hide this and I'm going to publish this form again. Okay, so I'll go back to the form. I'll just refresh this form. I'll just refresh. So Vincent's email, project type. So we now have that option hidden. And we can specify more description. Okay, and we can set the budget that we have for the project. Let's say $500. Of course, you can always change the currency signs in Fillout also. So let me see how many currency options we support currently. So I think you can actually bring in your own USD codes, and let me see if it will change that. Yeah, so for euro it changes that. So you can just try, you can try the currency code and see what happens. So I'm going to select the expected date that I want the project to start. That's basically what the expected date means. And I'll submit. So once the form is submitted, you can also always customize the ending page, what you want the ending page to look like also. So we didn't actually talk about that, but yeah, you can always do that. You can always do that when you go to the ending page. You can just customize whatever you want to have here. You can also remove the affiliate branding, but that has to be on the paid plan. So once the form is submitted, the next step is the customer should receive the form should go to the Slack channel. So if I go to the Slack channel, project manager, you can see there's a message there, and this is the form. So we have a form, the full name, email address, project type, description, the whole form is right here. And the manager can decide to approve or, reject. So when you click on approve, I'm just going to do a sample now. I'm going to click on reject, which is like straightforward. So when you click on reject, it takes you to, the Fillout platform. We can finish the rejection and, make a comment on why you're rejecting the project. So you just have to specify a comment for that. So this is a test rejection, and I click on reject. So I'm just going to check my email. Let's see. I'll refresh this. Also, automatically, the customer will receive an email, just like what we have here. So we receive an email automatically. Hi, Vincent. Thank you for submitting update on your projects. Well, we're sorry. So we have rejected the project. So the customer will receive an email that it has been rejected automatically. So I'll clear this. So now let's have another test of the project being accepted. I'm going to refresh this page, that same page we have initially. Enter my details. Enter my email address. I'm just going to go for branding this time. And I click on next. This is a test. My budget is $700. And my expected date is, I select the date and I submit the form. So the form is submitted. So let's see what happens. Automatically on Slack, the project manager will also receive notification. So you can see this one has been marked as rejected automatically. So, and there's a new form that needs, to be accepted or rejected. So the manager will now click on approve. It will take you to, put in a comment where you want to approve it or not. So this is a test approver, and I'll approve the project. So once I approve the project, so this is what happens. The customer will receive an email right here that we specify. So this is the email with, the link. This is the link where they have to click, to continue the next step. Before we do that, if you check the Slack, you can see that branding channel has received a notification also. So this is the branding channel. They have received notification of the customer details as well because it has been approved. So the details will now come into the appropriate team. So once we have that right here, so that's it for the internal team for now. So if you go back to the customer end, the customer can go ahead and click on complete the next step. And you can see that the name is already pre-filled because we passed that through the URL parameter. And the email is also pre-filled because we also passed that from the URL parameter. Then the customer can go ahead and review the contracts, which we have a PDF viewer right here. And once they're done with that, they can click on the signature. So you can draw, you can type, or you can upload the signature. So I'll just go ahead and just, type instead. Click on done. And click on submit. So once the customer submits, so one thing happens, we send them an email. So send them a new email also. Yeah, it could take a little bit of time because it has an attachment in it, but yeah, it's coming through. But if we check the Slack channel, we should see that client contract have a submission, which is the details the customer has signed, the contract they have signed, and the details again, and then the signature. But we have to log in to Fillout to view the signature. But we can always automate, sending the signature to a different database, whatever we want to do with the information the customer sent. So you can see the customer will also receive another email, which is like a signed, as agreement. You have signed the agreement. So thank you for completing the project, blah, blah, blah. And then we attach the contract they signed. So this is what the contract looks like. You can see that the data are embedded. So it's a little bit shift, but you can arrange that. You can always do a test, see if it is mapped well. If it's not, you can shift the field a little bit so it can match the PDF that you have. I think this one is kind of matching the dates and the names are matching a little bit. I can move it a little bit down. So you can always edit, do a test, make sure it's looking the way you want it to look. So the whole process, we just make sure everything is just automated. From customer filling the form, to manager approving it or rejecting it, to sending an email to the customer, to the customer filling, reading the contract and signing, then we email them the contract back to them once they have signed, and then we store in the intake also in our Slack, notifying us that the customer have also read the contract and sign the contract, so the team can now start working, with the customer or start having a call, whatever it is. So this is real life scenarios that could be very manual, when we try to do this. But with Fillout and its integration, we can actually make the life very easy for the workspace. So back to Fillout, you can decide other things you want to do with the data. You can map. We also have the upload option. The customer can upload a file, a document. You can integrate it with other tools like AWS. If you want to store your files directly to AWS and stuff. So Fillout gives you a whole lot of possibilities. You can create, whatever it is you imagine. You can just go ahead and create that. So that's it. That's it for Fillout Airtable and integrating with Slack and other tools and other possibilities you can do with Slack. So I'm right here. If you have questions you want to ask. Okay, so someone asked if I can show how to connect it to Airtable again. So I'll just go ahead and show that. So this is our form. So if I want to integrate it with Airtable for the first time, if you just go to integrate, so from the Fillout form, so when you create a form, I'm just going to create a new form to show you that. But yeah, just pretty straightforward. You can do that two ways. Is either you go to when you log into your page, you can click on the organization name right here. And you can click on integrations. You can click on new integration. You can select any of the integrations you want to map to. You can see we have tons of integrations, Google Sheet, Airtable, Notion. You can name them. You can click on Airtable. Then you can specify the name you want to give the integration. So whatever you want to call it. We also have the option you can use your Airtable personal tokens to integrate. If you don't want to use the Alt0 to authenticate, you can also use the personal access token. You can go to your Airtable, copy that, and paste it in here, or you can just authenticate directly. So you can give it a name, then click on connect to Airtable. This will take you to Airtable. You authenticate, authorize, and then it will bring you back to Fillout. So that's one way of doing that. Another way of doing that is from the form itself. Give me 1 second. So another way of doing that is from the form itself. So you can go to the form itself, and you can click on integrate. From the form, click on integrate. You can see the integrations also here. So the same process, click on Airtable if it's not already integrated. If you Slack, you want to integrate, click on Slack, just the same process. Another cool stuff you can do with Airtable, like I say, you can send the data to different places. So we also have the webhook option. I'm just going to show an example of how the webhook works. I'm just going to use webhook website, webhook.site. Just a demo. That's a demo of amazing things you can do. So you can actually get your data from here, send it to database, whatever you want to do with it. I'm just gonna copy the unique URL from here. So this is webhook.site is a site you can actually use for testing webhooks in platforms you want to use it for, just to make sure it's working. I'm just gonna paste the webhook URL here, and I'll click on text just to make sure it's working. And of course it is. So it's working. Status code 200. Click on finish status. Publish. So what happens is when this form is submitted, I'll just show you an example. I'll just refresh this. Marketing. When this form is submitted, this is a test. If you go to the webhook, you can see this information right here. So this was the test. This was the test option. This is the main data that was submitted. So it pulls the whole information for you in a JSON format. So you can go ahead and use the data the way you want to use it, whatever you want to do with it. So you can, use webhooks basically within Fillout as well. Other amazing things you can do with Fillout. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Just think about it, and you can just create whatever you want to create. Multi-event scheduling. We also have scheduling options here in Fillout. So if, for example, we want to integrate scheduling in our form, so it could be on the contracts form basically, right? Let's see we have where is it? Let's say when the customer signs a contract, we want them to schedule a call. So we can also do that. So I'm just going to integrate that also just to show you how our scheduling also works. So once the customer signs, we want to schedule a call with them, basically. So they have signed a contract, then we can schedule a call with them, to learn more about the project, get to know them, talk with them. So you can just click on add a page, and I'll select scheduling. You also have login, payments. You can actually, build like a payment option here where you have to pay before you schedule a form. Amazing stuff you can do with Fillout. So I'm just gonna select scheduling for the use case. You can integrate with car.com, Calendly, and you can also integrate with Outlook, Google Workspace, Google Meet. So I'll just go ahead and use Google. So you can use one-on-one, group meeting, collective meeting, the round robin meeting option. So I just use the one-on-one, put the title. I just call this head demo. I can duration, meeting location, Google Meet. You can specify what you want. Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, and we'll click on create. So we have a new page, and we can specify the availability where we'll be available. You can, put in the email address. What automatically it checks your calendar. You can use 2 calendars if you have like multiple calendars. You want to add more calendars to check for conflicts. If there's a conflict within the availability dates, also you can bring in your 2 calendars in here. So you can just go ahead and specify limit feature bookings and stuff. Amazing stuff you can do, notifications and advanced stuff you can just play along with. So amazing stuff you can do here. So we can integrate this. So once the customer, sign the contract, we take them to schedule a call with us, basically. So let me see. And so another option I love here is, so when you're scheduling a call, the customer's name and email, you can just manually put them also. So instead of them typing it again, so you already have that. So basically what we can do is, let me see. So under advanced option, prefill fields, so you can just put in the respondent email should come from the email field. Sorry, the name should go, sorry, that should be the email. Should come from the email field, and the respondent name should also come from the respondent field. That's the one already filled from the previous page. So the customer don't have to fill this again once they come in here. So from here, we are moving them to schedule a call with our sales team or our manager, whatever it is. I'll just publish this. And I think I should have an approval waiting for me here. So I'll just use that for example. So I'll go ahead and approve this. Approved, approve. So once approved, I think I selected branding, if I remember. Yeah, marketing. Okay, so it is sent to the marketing team, which is awesome. Then if I check my email, I should get a new notification. Let's see. Okay, so for the next step. So if I click on this, okay, so this is the initial notification that the project has been approved. Now we're supposed to get a new email. Let's see. No, I don't know if this is the new email, but let me see if that works. So if I click on that to go to the next page, it will take me to this page with my name and the details. I click my signature, I sign. So you can see that we now have next option instead of submit because there's a new page. So if I go to the next option, and I can go ahead and schedule a meeting with the team. And I can set the team. My name is already pre-filled. My email is already pre-filled. So I don't have to write that. I can just go ahead and schedule. So that's it. So we just integrated calendar and scheduling form into our workflow and everything as well. So the possibilities are just endless. Okay, so let's see if we have another question right here. Okay, so I think the first question was, is browser with vertical tabs, should you switch? If you want, I mean, I just love the flow, so I just go with that. I think I've showed you how to use the Airtable again. Then someone asked, can you do can do all this with a free plan? No, you can't do all this with free plan. Example, you can do the email options with the free plan. So you can actually check out Fillout help pricing. So you can check out fillout.com/help to get started. Look at the whole stuff you can do and the stuff you can do. Then if you check the pricing tab, you can see the stuff you can do with the free plan. So you can create unlimited forms, multi-page forms, resume in progress forms, unlimited stuff, 1,000 responses a month. So like one response equals one submission. So that's one response. You can also get 1,000 responses a month. That's a lot for a free form. PDF document integration. So probably everything we did now, I think the ones you can do in free plan is the signature. You can do that in free plan. Apart from that, you can do basically everything we just did now. You can do it in the free plan, but except the signature. Yeah, so yeah, everything we just did right now, you can do it on the full plan, except the signature option. Okay, you're welcome. So I don't think we have any other questions. So that's it. That's it for our stream today. And every amazing thing you can do with Fillout. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much, Vincent. That was such an interesting stream. And now I think maybe I can have some Slack reminder to remind me to water my garden.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. And we'll see you next time.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.